Hi, I'm Tatum, and welcome to Mini Stories, the show where I make minis tell stories, make stories into minis, or just paint minis and tell stories. In this video, I'll try to do a bit of an homage to one of my favorite video games ever, Resident Evil. For this, I 3D printed a statue of Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 3, the remake to be exact, sculpted by Hell Creator. This is officially the biggest miniature I've ever painted, and definitely the biggest scale I've worked on. Jill is around 12 centimeters tall, or around 5 Freedom units for people up north. This project is very special to me. Resident Evil is much more than just a game I like. But before I explain why I decided to do this, let's talk about the process itself, because oh boy, it was intense. First, the model was huge, and instead of printing it in parts like a smart person, I decided to ignore the split version and print the whole thing in one piece, which made it impossible for me to wash the print properly since I didn't have any recipient for the IPA that was nearly big enough for the model. As a result, the model ended up feeling super tacky. Fortunately, this didn't happen to the base, which I printed in my FDM printer and then covered with a supposedly thin layer of resin. Now it's time to prime this model. Surely the primer will fix it. Okay, the primer didn't fix it. But guess what? I'm not spending another day printing the whole thing again. Now it's finally time to paint, and let me tell you, I think the footage perfectly shows how excited I was when I began thinking of adding tons of transitions and textures, and how I ended up getting extremely frustrated and just blasting paint at the model to get it finished. And while I slowly lose my soul by painting this monster of a model, let me tell you why it was such a special— oh wait, yeah, I did something weird. In order to make the skin look more interesting, I decided to undercoat it with a mixture of green and magenta, which will eventually lead to me adding 1,000 layers of skin tone to get even coverage, rendering that underpainting completely useless. And while I did all this and saw Jill Valentine turn into She-Hulk for a couple hours, I had to calmly repeat a motto in my head, like a subliminal message. Trust the process. Now, finally, it's time to explain. The original Resident Evil 3 Trust the process was the very first horror game I got when I was around 7 years old, and I loved it. Oh my god, it looks so ugly, please process, I trust in you. Not only was it one of my first scary games, which I loved and hated at the same time, like and subscribe to get the blessing of the process, but it was also my introduction to the world of undead creatures, and more specifically, zombies. This led me down a rabbit hole of fascination for horror games and undead creatures, going through Silent Hill, the rest of the Resident Evil games, Fatal Frame, and more. Not only that, but the game scared me so much that I had to play it with my parents. To this day, some of my best memories with them are those moments where the three of us would get together to play on the PS1, my mom holding the controller while my dad and I screamed at her to run from the xenomorphs or shoot a zombie, or when the three of us would try for a whole hour to solve the piano puzzle in Silent Hill. It was moments like that, alongside with all the amazing stories and experiences, that made me fall in love with video games. All the games I played as a child were my first step towards becoming a full-time game developer. And Resident Evil continues to be one of my biggest sources of inspiration. Just think about it, even the original world I've been sharing on this channel's videos has its own kind of zombies in it. It's for all of these that I'm making this video. I decided to do something special for my 30th birthday by painting something from one of the games that inspired me throughout my life, and maybe doing something else as well. But before I show you that, it's time to finish this model. I just need to paint the gun, the base, and you know what? I just slapped some paint onto the base. I want to finish this model and put it onto my display. Maybe I'll do a Resident Evil inspired diorama in the future on a smaller scale, but I'm never ever painting something at this scale again. It was super taxing for me to have to do so much base coating, and it killed my motivation to do smaller details, which are my favorite part. I might come back to it in the future to polish it, but for now, it's time for the reveal. Yes, I got a tattoo! For those who don't know what these keys are, they are two of the keys in Resident Evil 2. The spade key leads to the library, and the hearts key opens a hallway leading to the art room. Art room, library, miniatures, stories. Yep, I made a mini stories reference in a Resident Evil tattoo. To be honest, this channel is my biggest pride. The models I paint for it, the stories I create, it all brings me enormous joy. All of it, alongside my career as a game developer, stems from the games that I played as a kid. And so, I decided to get a tattoo that represented that past and where it led to. As for where I'm going in the future, I have a couple ideas. If you want to support them, or simply feel curious about whether I'll make it or not, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video. But for now, it's time to go. If you stuck to the very end, let me know in the comments and tell me what is your favorite game from your childhood. Take care, and thanks for watching.